The Power of Silence by Carlos Castaneda, published in 1987. Silence is not empty, it's full of endless possibilities waiting to transform your reality. Summary of this book is published by Audiobook Zone. Please subscribe our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. Chapter 1, The Eagle's Gift. In The Power of Silence, Carlos Castaneda introduces the concept of the eagle's gift, which symbolizes an immense, metaphysical force that encompasses the source of all life, energy, and consciousness. Don Juan Matus, Castaneda's teacher and a Yaqui Indian sorcerer, describes the eagle as a vast, indifferent entity that provides both life and death. The eagle is not bound by human ideas of good or evil, as it exists beyond these dualities, offering everything to the world without judgment. Everything in existence, every experience, every creature, every perception, is a gift from this powerful force. However, human beings are blind to much of this reality because they perceive only a small portion of it, limited by their senses and mental conditioning. According to Don Juan, humans live in a world of ordinary perception, where we see only a fraction of what truly exists. To access the fuller scope of reality, one must go beyond the constraints of ordinary consciousness. This can be done by achieving a state of heightened awareness, which Don Juan calls second attention. In order to reach this higher state, one must first master the art of inner silence. This silence is not merely the absence of sound, but a profound mental and spiritual stillness that allows the individual to transcend ordinary perception. Don Juan teaches Castaneda that silence is an essential tool for a sorcerer to access non-ordinary realities. It is through this deep silence that a person can quiet their mind, shed their fears and distractions, and see the world in a new way. The goal is to break free from the noise of everyday life and reach a state of awareness where the world is experienced differently, more fully and more profoundly. Silence in this sense is an active discipline, one that requires practice, focus, and control of thoughts and emotions. The power of silence is closely linked to perception. Castaneda learns that by silencing the mind, a person can reach a higher level of awareness, where they are no longer bound by the limitations of ordinary experience. This allows one to perceive deeper truths about the universe and their place in it. Through Don Juan's teachings, Castaneda begins to understand that the journey of a sorcerer is a journey of perception, of mastering the ability to see beyond the ordinary world and tap into the vast, hidden forces of the eagle's gift. Chapter 2, The Power of Silence. In Chapter 2, The Power of Silence, Carlos Castaneda deepens his exploration of silence as a vital tool in the path of sorcery, as taught by Don Juan Matus. Building upon the concepts introduced in the first chapter, this chapter focuses on how silence, far from being a passive state, is an active and powerful practice essential for accessing non-ordinary realities. Don Juan emphasizes that true silence involves not just the absence of external sound, but a complete stillness of the mind and emotions. This type of silence allows one to transcend the limits of ordinary perception and experience the world in a profoundly different way. Don Juan explains that silence is necessary for the warrior's journey. In his teachings, a warrior is someone who seeks mastery over their thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, someone who is willing to quiet the noise of everyday life in order to connect with higher forces and realms. Silence allows the sorcerer to perceive the second attention, a state of heightened awareness that reveals the deeper, invisible aspects of reality. Don Juan likens this to seeing the world through a different lens, one that reveals hidden truths and provides access to a more profound understanding of existence. In this chapter, Castaneda begins to practice silence under Don Juan's guidance. The practice involves learning to control one's thoughts and emotions, letting go of mental chatter, and focusing deeply on the present moment. The challenge, Castaneda soon realizes, is that the mind is constantly filled with noise, fears, desires, judgments, and distractions that obscure the deeper knowledge available in silence. This mental clutter keeps people trapped in the ordinary world, preventing them from experiencing the full potential of their consciousness. Don Juan also highlights the role of intention in achieving silence. The sorcerer must learn to direct their focus and energy with intention, deliberately choosing to quiet the mind and clear the internal noise. This process is described as both a mental and energetic shift, where the individual must align their thoughts, emotions, and actions in harmony with the goal of achieving stillness. Only then can one begin to perceive the world with a different perspective, one that opens up access to new, mysterious realms of experience. One of the central insights of this chapter is the realization that silence is not simply about shutting off the external world. It's about creating a state of inner peace that allows for heightened sensitivity and awareness. As Castaneda practices this discipline, he starts to experience moments of clarity where the world feels more vivid, more alive, and more connected. These moments, although fleeting, demonstrate the potential power of silence to unlock a deeper perception of reality. Chapter 3: The Warrior's Way. In Chapter 3 of The Power of Silence, Carlos Castaneda is introduced to the concept of the warrior's way by his teacher, Don Juan Matus. A warrior, according to Don Juan, is not someone who fights external enemies, but someone who focuses on mastering their own mind, emotions, and actions. The warrior's path is about achieving self-mastery, mental discipline, and spiritual awareness. It is not about seeking material success or fame, but about attaining a higher understanding of the world by detaching from distractions and mastering perception. Don Juan explains that in order to truly walk the warrior's path, one must gain control over their thoughts and feelings. The mind is often filled with unnecessary chatter, worries, and distractions, which block the deeper awareness necessary to perceive the world beyond ordinary perception. A warrior must quiet the mind, learning to still the constant flow of thoughts, which is essential for entering second attention. This heightened awareness allows the warrior to see life from a broader, more profound perspective. Another key aspect of the warrior's path is fearlessness. Don Juan teaches Castaneda that fear is a major obstacle on the spiritual journey. Fear prevents a person from acting with clarity and focus, and it binds them to the material world. A true warrior does not allow fear to control their actions. Instead, they face fear head-on, embracing it as part of the journey. In fact, Don Juan encourages Castaneda to confront his fears and understand that death is an inevitable part of life. By accepting this reality, the warrior can live more freely and fully in the present moment, unburdened by anxiety about the future. The chapter also highlights the importance of detachment. Don Juan explains that a warrior must learn to detach from worldly desires and attachments. These attachments create unnecessary distractions, keeping a person tied to the mundane world and hindering their ability to reach higher states of awareness. Detachment doesn't mean withdrawing from life, but rather learning not to cling to anything, allowing the warrior to remain flexible and open to new experiences and realities. Ultimately, the warrior's way is about personal growth, discipline, and self-awareness. It teaches that true strength comes not from external achievements, but from inner peace and the mastery of one's own mind. Every moment offers the warrior an opportunity to practice silence, focus, and fearlessness, all of which are crucial for achieving deeper knowledge and spiritual freedom. The path of a warrior is a continuous journey, where the only true goal is to cultivate awareness and understanding of the world beyond ordinary perception. Chapter 4: The Descent of the Eagle of the Power of Silence. Carlos Castaneda continues his teachings under Don Juan Matus, where they explore the concept of the eagle, a powerful, metaphysical force that represents the source of all life and consciousness. Don Juan explains that the eagle is indifferent, offering its gift of life to every being, but in return, it demands the surrender of personal identity. The eagle symbolizes the vast, impersonal energy of the universe, which both creates and consumes all things. Don Juan explains that in order to gain true knowledge and understanding, one must ascend with the eagle, letting go of the attachment to the self. This process, called the descent of the eagle, requires the sorcerer to abandon their individual identity, ego, and personal desires. Only through this surrender can they experience the greater consciousness that exists beyond the individual self. This profound transformation involves transcending the limits of ordinary perception and connecting with the larger, impersonal energy that governs the universe. As Castaneda learns, this descent is not a physical journey but a spiritual one. It is the process of unshackling oneself from the constraints of ego and identity in order to tap into higher levels of awareness. The eagle does not favor anyone but offers its gifts to those who are willing to surrender their personal will. This surrender allows the individual to experience the world from a place of unity with the universe, free from the boundaries created by the ego and the illusion of separateness. Don Juan stresses that this descent is essential for the path of a sorcerer. Without it, a person is unable to perceive the true nature of reality. The ego clouds judgment, preventing the sorcerer from accessing higher knowledge. Only by relinquishing the sense of self and embracing the vastness of the ego can one truly perceive life in its entirety, understanding the interconnectedness of all things. Chapter 5, The Dreamer's Path of the Power of Silence. Carlos Castaneda continues his journey with Don Juan Matus, learning about the importance of dreams in the path of a sorcerer. Don Juan reveals that the warrior's path involves not only mastering the waking world but also the realm of dreams. According to Don Juan, reality is not just what one perceives in the physical world but is also shaped by the inner world of dreams. To the sorcerer, the dream world is just as real and essential as the waking world. Don Juan explains that, for a warrior, dreams are a powerful tool for gaining knowledge and understanding. Sorcerers learn to control their dreams, using them to navigate alternate realms of reality. The process of becoming a dreamer involves developing the ability to enter these otherworldly dimensions at will. Dreaming is not about simply experiencing random images while asleep, but about consciously entering altered states of reality where one can manipulate and interact with the forces of the universe. The warrior's goal in the dream world is to achieve full awareness, to recognize that they are dreaming, and to use the dream state to explore the hidden aspects of reality. Don Juan teaches Castaneda that one must learn to distinguish between the waking world and the dream world, but also realize that the two are interconnected. Just as a warrior masters perception in the physical world, so too must they master their perception in the dream world. By doing so, they can gain insights and wisdom that transcend ordinary consciousness. Through practice, Castaneda begins to understand that dreams are not just a passive experience but an active and significant part of spiritual development. The dream world offers access to hidden knowledge, and by becoming skilled in dreaming, the sorcerer can tap into deeper realities. Don Juan also emphasizes the importance of intent in dreaming. A warrior must learn to direct their energy and focus with intention, just as they would in the waking world, in order to manifest the changes they seek in the dream state. Chapter 6, The Art of Seeing of the Power of Silence. Carlos Castaneda continues his teachings under Don Juan Matus, exploring the concept of seeing beyond ordinary perception. Don Juan introduces Castaneda to the idea that true knowledge comes not from thinking or reasoning, but from a deeper, more intuitive form of awareness, an ability to see the world in its true form, beyond the veil of ordinary perception. Don Juan explains that the ordinary person only perceives the surface of reality, unaware of the deeper layers that exist beneath it. Most people are trapped in the realm of ordinary perception, where they only see things as they appear, not as they truly are. However, the sorcerer's path is about learning to see beyond this illusion. The true sorcerer develops the ability to perceive the unknown and to see things that are invisible to ordinary eyes. This ability to see is not about physical sight, but about an expanded awareness that allows the sorcerer to access deeper levels of consciousness and reality. The art of seeing is a process of training the mind and senses to look beyond the obvious and recognize the hidden forces and energies that govern the world. Don Juan teaches Castaneda that in order to see, one must first clear the mind of unnecessary thoughts and distractions. It is only through silence and focus that the sorcerer can begin to perceive the subtle energy fields that surround all living things. This perception allows them to gain deeper insights into the nature of reality and to understand the interconnectedness of all things. Don Juan also explains that in order to become a true seer, one must learn to perceive the assemblage point, the place where perception is anchored in the body. This point can be shifted, and when it is moved, the sorcerer can access different realities or perceive hidden truths. Shifting the assemblage point is an advanced skill that allows the sorcerer to see the world in new and unexpected ways, revealing hidden dimensions of existence that are normally invisible to ordinary perception. The chapter emphasizes that the art of seeing requires intense discipline, focus, and a willingness to transcend ordinary experiences. By cultivating a heightened awareness, the sorcerer can tap into the energy that flows through all things, gaining profound insights into the nature of reality, the self, and the universe. Through practice, Castaneda begins to understand that seeing is not just a skill but a way of living, a way of being fully present in the world and attuned to its deeper truths. Chapter 7. The Spirit of the Eagle of the Power of Silence. Carlos Castaneda continues his journey of spiritual exploration under the guidance of Don Juan Matus. In this chapter, Don Juan introduces Castaneda to a more profound aspect of the universe, the spirit of the eagle, which is a metaphorical representation of the energy that permeates all of existence. Don Juan explains that the eagle is not just a force in the world, but the source of all consciousness and life itself. The eagle is a vast, impersonal, and neutral force, one that does not favor any individual but instead offers its gifts to all beings equally. However, in return, it requires the surrender of personal identity. Don Juan teaches that, to truly understand the eagle's spirit, the warrior must learn to abandon their ego and sense of self. The eagle represents the totality of existence, the source from which everything emanates and to which everything returns. The warrior must surrender their individual desires, fears, and personal attachments in order to align themselves with this greater cosmic force. Only by relinquishing personal identity can a sorcerer achieve unity with the eagle spirit and access the deeper knowledge that lies beyond ordinary perception. The chapter explores the concept of loss of self as a key component in the spiritual journey. Don Juan explains that to experience the true essence of the eagle spirit, one must let go of the illusion of separateness. The sense of I or me creates boundaries that prevent one from experiencing the world as it truly is. By giving up the self, the sorcerer can open themselves to the flow of universal energy and gain access to higher levels of consciousness. As Castaneda learns, the eagle spirit is impartial and indifferent to human desires or fears. It simply provides its energy to all beings, offering them the opportunity to transcend the limitations of their individual self. The eagle does not reward or punish, but rather serves as a force that facilitates spiritual growth and transformation. The warrior's task is to learn how to embrace this energy without becoming attached to it or allowing it to distort their perception. Don Juan emphasizes that the path to unity with the eagle spirit is one of discipline and sacrifice. The sorcerer must be willing to confront their deepest fears and attachments, relinquishing their ego in order to experience true freedom. This process is not easy, as it requires a total reorientation of one's perceptions and beliefs. But by following this path, the warrior can tap into the eagle's vast knowledge and wisdom, gaining a profound understanding of the nature of reality. Chapter 9. The Silence of the Warrior of the Power of Silence. Carlos Castaneda's spiritual journey deepens as he learns about the essential role of silence in the life of a warrior. Don Juan Matus explains that silence is not just the absence of sound, but a state of being that is fundamental to the sorcerer's path. A warrior's silence is about cultivating inner stillness and achieving clarity of mind, which allows for a deeper understanding of the world and the forces that govern it. Don Juan emphasizes that silence is a powerful tool for self-mastery, as it helps the sorcerer detach from the distractions and illusions of the everyday world. The chapter focuses on the idea that a warrior must be silent not only in speech, but also in thought and action. This form of silence is about learning to stop the inner dialogue and mental chatter that keeps one tied to ordinary perceptions and attachments. The warrior's silence allows them to access a deeper level of awareness and connection with the universe. By quieting the mind, the warrior can listen to the subtle energies of the world, perceive hidden truths, and make decisions based on clear intuition rather than reactive emotions or conditioned thoughts. Don Juan teaches that a warrior's silence is a form of power. In the silence, the sorcerer becomes attuned to the flow of energy that surrounds them, sensing the movements and shifts in the world with heightened sensitivity. This silence is not passive, but an active state of alertness and awareness, where the warrior is always prepared to respond to the needs of the moment with wisdom and precision. The warrior's silence allows them to move through the world without being distracted or swayed by external influences, remaining steadfast in their purpose and focused on their spiritual journey. As Castaneda learns, silence is also deeply connected to the warrior's inner strength. A true warrior does not seek to dominate or control others, but instead works in harmony with the universe, using their silence to navigate challenges with grace and determination. This silence is also a form of non-attachment, as the warrior learns to let go of personal desires and ego-driven motivations. By embracing silence, the warrior becomes free from the constraints of the self, allowing them to access higher levels of consciousness and wisdom. Don Juan also stresses that silence is a key element in the sorcerer's ability to perceive and understand the unseen forces of the world. In a state of silence, the warrior can tune into the subtle energies that influence reality, gaining insights and clarity that are not available through ordinary perception. This chapter highlights the importance of silence in the spiritual journey, as it serves as a gateway to deeper knowledge and heightened awareness. Chapter 10. The Power of the Word of the Power of Silence. Carlos Castaneda's exploration of sorcery continues as Don Juan Matus delves into the transformative power of language and the spoken word. This chapter emphasizes the idea that words carry a profound energy, and how a sorcerer must understand and use this power to navigate the world and achieve spiritual growth. Don Juan explains that, for a warrior or sorcerer, the use of words is not merely a tool for communication, but an integral part of shaping reality. Don Juan teaches Castaneda that words have a much deeper significance than they appear to in everyday life. They are not just symbols or sounds. They are imbued with power, capable of affecting the world and influencing perception. This is because the energy contained in words can either strengthen or weaken the sorcerer's connection to the universe. By choosing words carefully and consciously, the warrior can direct their energy and focus, creating a reality aligned with their purpose and intentions. The power of the word involves the awareness that every word spoken has an impact, not only on the external world but also on the individual's internal world. Words shape thoughts, emotions, and the very essence of a person's being. For a warrior, it is crucial to recognize that idle or careless words can scatter energy and distract from the path of spiritual growth. On the other hand, intentional, deliberate speech can align the warrior with their higher purpose, helping them stay focused on their journey. Don Juan teaches that the warrior must use words to bring clarity and precision to their actions. The spoken word should be used with integrity and discipline, ensuring that every utterance is in harmony with the warrior's true intent. Castaneda learns that words can be used to create power, summon energy, and manifest intentions in the world. They are tools for a sorcerer to communicate with the universe and align with the forces that shape reality. An important lesson in this chapter is the idea that the warrior should not speak unnecessarily or engage in gossip. Idle chatter not only wastes energy, but also lowers the warrior's level of awareness. The warrior's speech must be purposeful and intentional, as each word spoken should contribute to their spiritual journey and alignment with the universal forces. This form of conscious speaking is part of the sorcerer's discipline, helping to clear away distractions and maintain focus on the path ahead. The chapter also explores the idea of silence as the counterpart to the power of the word. While the word is powerful, silence is equally important, as it provides the space for clarity and understanding. The sorcerer must balance speaking with silence, using words when necessary and embracing silence to allow for inner reflection and connection with the universe. Through this balance, the warrior can become more attuned to the world around them and harness the true power of the word. Chapter 11. The Inner Silence of the Warrior of the Power of Silence. Carlos Castaneda continues his spiritual journey under the guidance of Don Juan Matus, delving deeper into the nature of silence and its importance in the life of a warrior. Don Juan teaches that silence is not just an external practice, but an internal state of being, one that requires discipline, patience, and a deep connection to one's higher self. The true silence that a warrior must cultivate is an inner silence, a state where the mind is still, free from the constant chatter and distractions that typically dominate our thoughts. Don Juan explains that the key to achieving inner silence is learning to stop the habitual inner dialogue that we all engage in. This inner dialogue is the constant flow of thoughts and self-talk that we experience throughout the day, which often leads to mental clutter and confusion. For the warrior, this chatter is a barrier to achieving clarity and spiritual insight. The practice of inner silence involves quieting the mind, allowing the warrior to access a deeper state of awareness that is not influenced by the distractions of everyday life. This silence is a state of pure presence, where the warrior is fully attuned to the moment and able to perceive the energies of the universe. To reach this inner silence, Don Juan teaches that a warrior must be disciplined and conscious of their thoughts. The process involves learning to detach from the mind and the ego, observing thoughts without identifying with them. By practicing this detachment, the warrior can create a space where the mind can rest and become still. This inner silence is not simply a tool for meditation or spiritual practice, but a way of being that allows the warrior to navigate the world with clarity, precision, and awareness. Don Juan emphasizes that the path to inner silence is not easy. It requires constant effort and vigilance, as the mind is naturally inclined to wander and become distracted. However, through perseverance and discipline, the warrior can eventually achieve a state of inner peace and tranquility. This silence allows the warrior to connect with their higher self and the universal forces, enabling them to gain greater wisdom and insight. The chapter also explores the idea that inner silence is closely tied to the warrior's ability to act with power and clarity. When the mind is quiet and still, the warrior can make decisions with precision, free from the influence of fear, doubt, or emotional turmoil. In this state, the warrior is able to respond to the world with calmness and focus, guided by their intuition and inner wisdom rather than by reactive emotions or external pressures. Chapter 12. The Power of Intent of the Power of Silence. Carlos Castaneda continues his exploration of sorcery and spiritual growth, guided by Don Juan Matus. This chapter focuses on the concept of intent, a powerful and fundamental force that shapes reality. Don Juan introduces Castaneda to the idea that intent is the driving force behind everything that exists. It is the energy that propels all actions, decisions, and creations in the universe, and it is essential for a sorcerer to understand and harness its power. Don Juan explains that intent is not a mere mental desire or wish. It is a powerful force that comes from the core of the universe. Intent is the energy that connects all things and directs the flow of events and experiences. For a warrior or sorcerer, understanding and aligning with intent is crucial to achieving their goals and manifesting their desired reality. Unlike personal will, which can be influenced by ego and emotion, intent is impartial and pure, operating beyond the limitations of the self. It is a universal energy that transcends individual desires and works in harmony with the forces of the universe. To use intent effectively, Don Juan teaches Castaneda that the sorcerer must develop a deep connection to this force. The warrior must learn to align their actions, thoughts, and energy with intent, allowing it to flow through them naturally. The process requires cultivating a sense of purpose and clarity, as intent is most powerful when the sorcerer is focused and determined. A warrior must learn to quiet the mind, detach from personal desires, and open themselves to the greater flow of universal energy. This state of alignment allows the sorcerer to tap into the power of intent and use it to influence the world around them. An important lesson in this chapter is that intent is not something that can be manipulated or controlled through forceful effort. Instead, it must be approached with humility and reverence, recognizing that it is a natural force that operates according to its own laws. The sorcerer must learn to become an instrument of intent, allowing it to guide their actions rather than attempting to control it through willpower. This requires a deep sense of trust in the universe and a willingness to surrender to the greater flow of life. Don Juan also teaches that the power of intent is closely connected to the warrior's ability to maintain discipline, focus, and clarity. The sorcerer's intent must be unwavering, aligned with their spiritual purpose and the greater forces of the universe. Through consistent practice and a strong commitment to their path, the warrior can strengthen their connection to intent, allowing it to guide their actions with precision and wisdom. Chapter 13. The Energy of the Universe of the Power of Silence. Carlos Castaneda delves deeper into the nature of energy and how it influences the life of a sorcerer. Don Juan Matus, his teacher and guide, explains that everything in the universe is composed of energy, and it is the sorcerer's task to learn how to perceive, harness, and direct this energy for their spiritual growth. Energy, according to Don Juan, is the essence of life, and everything, whether living or inanimate, is made up of energy fields that are constantly in motion. The chapter introduces Castaneda to the idea that energy is not simply a physical phenomenon, but a spiritual one as well. The sorcerer must learn to perceive and interact with energy on a deeper, more subtle level. This is achieved by expanding awareness and developing the ability to see beyond ordinary perception. As Castaneda learns, the key to becoming a true sorcerer is to understand and work with the energy of the universe, as it is the force that shapes reality and influences the course of events. Don Juan explains that energy flows in patterns, and these patterns can be observed and understood by the sorcerer who has developed heightened perception. A key aspect of working with energy is learning how to sense and align oneself with the flow of energy in the universe. The sorcerer must remain in harmony with this flow, as trying to control or manipulate energy without understanding its natural movement can lead to imbalance and confusion. In this chapter, Castaneda is taught that every action, thought, and emotion carries its own energy. Positive thoughts and emotions generate harmonious energy, while negative thoughts and emotions create discordant energy. Therefore, it is essential for the sorcerer to maintain discipline, focus, and emotional balance. By doing so, they can cultivate a steady flow of energy that aligns with their spiritual goals and purpose. Don Juan also teaches Castaneda that energy is connected to the concept of intent. The energy of the universe is directed by intent, and it is through the power of intent that the sorcerer can influence the world around them. However, intent must be in alignment with the natural flow of energy in order to be effective. Trying to force one's own will onto the energy of the universe is futile. Instead, the sorcerer must work in harmony with it, allowing the energy to flow through them naturally and without resistance. The chapter further explores how the sorcerer must become aware of their personal energy and how it interacts with the world. The warrior's energy must be carefully managed and focused on the tasks at hand. Castaneda learns that by mastering his own energy and learning how to use it consciously, he can become more attuned to the universe's energy, which enables him to access higher levels of awareness and insight. Chapter 14. The Sorcerer's Path of the Power of Silence. Carlos Castaneda continues his teachings under Don Juan Matus, exploring the path that a sorcerer follows to reach spiritual mastery. Don Juan reveals that the path of a sorcerer is not a simple or easy journey. It requires unwavering dedication, discipline, and an understanding of the forces that shape the universe. The sorcerer's path is one of self-mastery, self-discovery, and spiritual growth, and it is marked by a series of trials that test the individual's strength and will. The chapter highlights the idea that the sorcerer's path is not linear. It is full of obstacles and challenges that serve to deepen the sorcerer's understanding of themselves and the world. Don Juan explains that the journey of a sorcerer requires detachment from the ego and the material world. The sorcerer must transcend personal desires, fears, and attachments, as these can cloud the mind and hinder spiritual growth. Only by letting go of these distractions can the sorcerer begin to see reality as it truly is. One of the most important teachings in this chapter is the idea that the sorcerer's path is a continuous process of transformation. Don Juan emphasizes that a sorcerer must be willing to embrace change and to let go of the old ways of thinking and being. This transformation is not always comfortable. It requires the warrior to face their inner darkness, confront their fears, and shed old habits that no longer serve their higher purpose. The sorcerer must be prepared to surrender their sense of identity and ego in order to become more attuned to the spiritual energies that guide their journey. The chapter also discusses the importance of discipline in the sorcerer's path. Don Juan stresses that without discipline, a sorcerer will not be able to make progress. Discipline is essential for maintaining focus, achieving clarity, and staying aligned with the forces of the universe. The sorcerer's discipline extends beyond external actions. It also involves the internal management of thoughts, emotions, and intentions. By mastering their inner world, the sorcerer can cultivate the power necessary to navigate the external world. Don Juan also explains that a sorcerer must learn to live in harmony with the natural world and its energies. This includes understanding the cycles of nature, the movement of the stars, and the flow of energy in the universe. The sorcerer is not separate from nature. They are a part of it. By aligning with nature's rhythms and energies, the sorcerer can enhance their spiritual growth and achieve a deeper understanding of reality. The chapter concludes with a reminder that the sorcerer's path is not about seeking personal gain or power, but about achieving a higher state of consciousness and understanding. The ultimate goal of the sorcerer is to transcend the limitations of the self and to live in harmony with the universe. By walking the path with dedication, humility, and awareness, the sorcerer can reach a state of spiritual freedom, where they are free from the constraints of the ego and fully connected to the energy that flows through all things. Chapter 15. The Dreamer's Reality. In the final chapter of The Power of Silence, titled The Dreamer's Reality, Carlos Castaneda takes the teachings of Don Juan Matus to their ultimate conclusion, exploring the relationship between perception, consciousness, and the nature of reality. Don Juan reveals that, in the world of sorcery, what we perceive as reality is not the ultimate truth, but rather a dream, a creation of our minds. This chapter emphasizes the concept that life, as we know it, is a manifestation of our own consciousness, a dream that can be altered, expanded, and even transformed through higher awareness and intent. Don Juan explains to Castaneda that the sorcerer's path leads to a profound realization. Everything, including the physical world and our experiences, is a dream. This understanding challenges the traditional view of reality and encourages Castaneda to shift his perception. The sorcerer learns that by achieving a state of heightened awareness, they can perceive the dreamlike nature of reality, recognizing that the boundaries between the self and the universe are not as fixed as they seem. The key to navigating this dream lies in mastering the art of dreaming, being able to control, influence, and expand one's perception of reality. The concept of the dreamer's reality is a central teaching in this chapter. Don Juan teaches that the true sorcerer operates not only in the world of the everyday waking life, but also in the world of dreams, where the rules of reality are fluid and malleable. The warrior or sorcerer learns to live in both worlds simultaneously, fully awake in the dream, and attuned to the energies and forces that govern both realms. This state of dual awareness allows the sorcerer to transcend ordinary perception and experience a more profound connection to the universe. A key part of this journey is the ability to let go of personal identification with the body and the ego. Don Juan stresses that the sorcerer must relinquish the attachments that bind them to the physical world and the false self. Only by doing so can they truly enter the realm of dreaming, where the sorcerer can reshape their reality and align with the greater forces of the universe. The sorcerer's mastery of dreaming allows them to move beyond the limitations of ordinary perception and live with a greater sense of freedom and spiritual power. In this chapter, Castaneda learns that the dreamer's reality is not limited to the dream world that occurs when we sleep. It encompasses all aspects of life, and the key to living in this expanded reality is to awaken the awareness of the dreamer within. This realization allows Castaneda to transcend the conventional boundaries of time, space, and self, and to experience a deeper connection to the universe. Conclusion of the power of silence. Carlos Castaneda's The Power of Silence takes readers on a profound journey into the teachings of Don Juan Matus, a Yaqui Indian sorcerer. Through a series of deep spiritual lessons, the book explores the nature of reality, the importance of silence, and the way a warrior or sorcerer must master their thoughts, actions, and perceptions to transcend the limitations of ordinary existence. The key concept throughout the book is that reality is not fixed but is instead a fluid, dreamlike experience that can be shaped through awareness, intent, and the cultivation of inner silence. Don Juan teaches Castaneda that silence is not merely the absence of noise, but a state of being that allows one to access a higher consciousness beyond ego and personal desires. Silence is a gateway to spiritual insight and clarity, enabling the sorcerer to connect with the energy of the universe and transcend the ordinary human experience. By learning to quiet the mind and detach from the constant chatter of thoughts, the warrior can align themselves with the greater flow of life, living with greater purpose, clarity, and power. The book also introduces the concepts of intent and energy, revealing that everything in the universe is interconnected through these forces. The sorcerer's ability to harness and direct these forces with discipline and focus is what empowers them to shape their own reality. Intent, according to Don Juan, is not a personal will but a universal force that guides the sorcerer in their journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth. Ultimately, the power of silence is a guide for those seeking to break free from the constraints of ordinary perception and awaken to a deeper, more profound understanding of existence. It teaches that by mastering silence, energy, and intent, one can transcend the ego, align with the universe, and live a life of greater awareness, freedom, and spiritual fulfillment. The journey of the sorcerer is not easy, but it is one of transformation, self-realization, and the discovery of the true nature of reality.